Hello, welcome back to Tony's Garage. This week we are going to be doing a lot of cleaning and finishing breaking down the engine. So I want to go over a couple of safety tips. Because we're going to be doing cleaning, we're going to be using some putty knives and some caustic chemicals and a drill with a wire brush. Always use brass because brass won't damage the metal. You're going to want to use a face shield that will protect from a lot of the flinging and also little wire brush bits that come flinging at you. You're also going to want to use glasses. I know these don't have the side shields, but they are sturdy enough. And use an apron or a coat because you don't want that crap getting on your skin. It'll give you two-headed children. And gloves. Gloves are important. You don't want to have two-headed children. And a breathing mask because before they outlawed asbestos, there were an awful lot of car parts and bike parts that were made out of asbestos because it is very heat-tolerant material. We since found that it'll kill you, so be careful. And if you are using a drill that atomizes the bits and pieces and throws them into the air, you're going to need it. So, let's get started. As I was removing the pistons to see if we could clean it up and check to see if they were too far damaged to be reused, I noticed something very unfortunate. Notice how this connecting rod, that connecting rod, and that connecting rod move so freely, and this one does not. We're going to have to tear this whole thing down. I might have a buggered bearing, we don't know until we get in there. Fortunately, I did buy the complete gasket kit for this engine. You can get a top end, you can get a bottom end, you can get various variations of all the things, but we got a whole thing. So we have every single gasket we need to rebuild this engine top to bottom, which is really, really good because we're going to be breaking every single seal. Following along in the manual, it appears that in order to disassemble the gearbox assembly, I need to remove all of the accessories and a few other items we'll get to as we go. The first one I pulled off was the starter. It's pretty simple. It has these 2 bolts here. I already pulled it. We also need to remove the ignition pickup, and the ignition pickup has a few screws placed around, and then it all comes off. Don't forget to pull your wire, otherwise you might yank on something and break it off. Next up is the clutch assembly. To get to it, you remove these screws, and this comes off, and you can get to it and remove it. So this is your clutch assembly. Got your clutch plates, your clutch retainer, other clutch retainer. This is where your cable connects to, and as you pull on it, it rotates this little guy. So that pulls this out, which pulls on all this and releases your clutch plates. So you're no longer transferring power from the engine to the transmission. So here's a bit of a closer look at that clutch assembly. So as you pull the cable, rotates on that, pulls that out, and lets these float a little more freely. So in order to extract the clutch sleeve, which is this component, there are 2 holes right here that are threaded, and according to the manual, you actually use a couple of your case bolts to pull it out. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, so this is essentially a flywheel. This is your clutch housing. There's a little needle bearing to support, or supported by this centerpiece that allows it to turn. So next thing we're going to remove is the oil pump and the oil pump drive. Those are found on the bottom. This is the bottom of the motorcycle. This is our oil pan. It is held in place by these screws. This is the oil level sensor, so when the level gets too low, it closes a contact inside here, sends a signal to the instrument panel, and lights up the oil light. It lets you know you're about to blow up. Alright, the pump is retained by these 3 Allen bolts. We're going to pull those, pull the pump, we'll be done. So this is your sump. You've got your screen, your pump housing, and your drive gear. Screen, pump housing, drive gear. We're going to let this sit in a tub and drain. The next thing to remove is the gear change mechanism. That is under this housing right here. It's held in place by these screws. Pull them out, remove the cover. And we're ready to separate the crank halves. There are 38 bolts, some on the top, some on the bottom, that need to be loosened. I'm not going to bore you with that. Same thing as anytime we're removing anything off of an engine. You want to look for the sequence in the manual, follow along. It is going from 38 to 1, half turn each time until you get them loose, then you can pull them all the way. And there it is. We finished tearing it down. I'm just kidding you. Here's the rest of it. Here's a lineup of the parts that we've taken off and cleaned up so far. Notice, anytime I can't put something back where it goes, I put it in a baggie and I label the baggie. Always label the baggie. Another important tip is, when you're doing something like this, finish it to a point where it's finished so you don't have loose crap hanging around. If you do that, you're going to lose things and it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to get started again. Thank you for joining us this week. We had a lot of fun. We finally got everything torn down, which is great because that means we can start taking the engine out of the other one and steal the bits and pieces that we need off of it so we can have a complete, well-running engine. And then we'll continue on this project. It's going to take some time in case you haven't realized that yet. This is not my full-time job. I do work full-time and I have a couple of days off where I film this and then I edit throughout the rest of the week. So bear with me. As winter approaches, I'll be doing a lot more probably because there won't be much else to do because snow sucks. I know some people love it. I don't. I hate snow. I hate shoveling snow. I don't like snow sports. I don't like it. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah. So, subscribe if you liked it. Like it if you like it. If you didn't, that's okay. You'll get over it. I just wanted to give a special thanks to my sister, who's helped out a lot for all this filming, my wife, who has given me a lot of pointers and told me to not be so freaking nervous in front of the camera. It just feels weird talking to myself. I'm not used to it yet. Someday, maybe. And thanks to you guys. I appreciate all of you who have subscribed. I appreciate all of you who have liked the videos and all of you who have viewed the videos. Let's keep doing this. This is fun. I really enjoy filming, doing the process of the projects. I've done a lot of things. I've just never recorded it. And I've been thinking for the last 4 years, I should really record this and do the thing, but I've not done the thing. So now we're doing the thing. It's exciting. Yeah, that's all I got. Be sure to keep tuning in. I'll post another video next Saturday, so you'll be able to see the continuing process. Next week, I'm probably going to be doing some non-destructive testing on those pistons that were damaged, and we'll see if we have any cracks in them. I hope we don't, but we'll see if we do. If we do have the spare bike. We also have to take the buggered connecting rod off so that we can see whether or not the bearing is broke. It probably is. We'll probably have to replace it. But we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. All right. Have fun. See you next time. Also, please leave comments. I do a lot of things, a lot of different things, woodworking, mechanics. If there's something in here that I didn't cover very well and you want me to explain more in depth, please, please, please let me know. I want this to be a good channel where people can come and learn about basic mechanics. I want people to watch this and be able to say, yeah, I can probably do that. And so help me out.